But I've been traveling all over the country, obviously, on behalf of Mitt Romney and our candidates, and I can tell you our veterans are angry. They're angry, and they no longer trust the commander-in-chief, because this debacle has been not only what happened is infuriated them, but all of this cover-up. You know, right after the raid on Bin-Laden, within 24 hours, we practically knew every detail. Some details we never should have been told. Now it's 7 weeks, and we still have not had the kind of information, the American people have not had the kind of information that is necessary. One of our veterans, I said, you know, this could be as bad as Watergate, and one of our veterans said, yeah, but nobody died in Watergate.
To be clear, you say that this president has either committed a massive cover-up or is not qualified to be commander-in-chief. Those are both bad.
Well, it may be a combination of both, but when you look at the warnings, the 2 attacks on our consulate, the warnings by our ambassador, Chris Stevens, the last message he wrote before he was murdered was talking about the security requirements that were necessary. Why didn't the President of the United States know about it? Maybe it was one of the briefings that he didn't attend. But the point is, the President should have known about it. Action should have been taken. Then during it, obviously, there's information that the CIA people were ordered to stand down.
My son was an American hero, and he had the moral strength to do what was right, even if that would professionally cost him his job, even if it would potentially cost him his life. He was a hero who was willing to do whatever was necessary to respond to their cries for help. If, in fact, those people in the White House were as courageous and had the moral strength that my son Ty had, immediately, within minutes of when they found there was the first attack, they would have sent, they would have given permission, not denied permission, for those C-130s to have gone up there. And this is I don't know much about weapons, but it's coming out right now that they actually had laser targets focused on the mortars that were being sent to kill my son, and they refused to pull the trigger. They refused to send those C-30s. To me, I'm an attorney. This may not meet the legal test of murder, but to me, that is not only cowardice, but those people who made the decision and who knew about the decision and lied about it are murderers of my son. That's a very strong statement for me to make, but for their benefit, they need to clear their conscience, they need to stand up, and they need to change the direction of their lives. And I want to say right now, you know who you are. I totally forgive you, but I hope years from now you change the direction of your life.
And why, if these cries were being heard not only by your son and by others that did risk their lives, why were they denied help? Because your son died 7 hours after he went in.
You know, I can't imagine anyone with any heart that would watch a battle rage for 7 hours, knowing that heroes were there that were going to be slaughtered if you didn't have help sent in. As we know, the C-130s could have been sent there in less than an hour. Jets could have been scrambled in minutes from many different parts of the globe. The order was, don't help them, let them die. You know, I'm sorry, the people in the military are honorable, and when they make a vow, they're honorable enough to live up to it. Part of that vow is to defend American lives on American soil from all enemies, foreign and domestic. This compound was American soil by international law. I'm speaking as an attorney. By international law, a diplomatic compound is American soil, no matter where it's located. So we had 30 American citizens on American soil. This is no different than if it happened in LA or any other city. It would not take 7 hours normally to scramble the jets to send the 130 if this was on American soil in California or New York or any other place. But to be political would be dishonoring to my son's life and death. However, I'm here to honor my son. Part of the process of honoring is to forgive, but part of the other process is truth and to make sure that justice is pursued. I hope that it is, because justice has to be paid.
We did everything we could to secure those Americans who were still in harm's way.
September 11th, as the attack in Benghazi was playing out, emails cascade into the mailboxes of high-ranking officials in the intelligence community, in the Pentagon, and even the White House. 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time. The diplomatic mission is under attack. 49 minutes later, 4:54 p.m., firing at the U.S. diplomatic mission in Benghazi has stopped, and the compound has been cleared. At 5 p.m., the President, Vice President, and Defense Secretary Leon Panetta meet in the Oval Office.
That's about an hour after the attack began. At that time, they would have had a drone and a video feed from a drone being fed back to Washington.
September 18th.
Did the administration have any sort of heads up that violence was increasing specifically in Libya before the attack?
I'm not aware of any, Ed. This is a matter that's under investigation in terms of what precipitated the attack.
That night on The Late Show with David Letterman, President Obama gives perhaps his most elaborate explanation of what he says happened in Benghazi. Was it a spontaneous riot or a planned attack? A combination of the two, he suggests.
You had a video that was released by somebody who lives here, sort of a shadowy character. This caused great offense in much of the Muslim world, but what also happened was extremists and terrorists used this as an excuse to attack a variety of our embassies, including the consulate in Libya.
But on September 25th at the United Nations, the president mentions the video 6 times.
There's no video that justifies an attack on an embassy.
On September 12, 2012, 4 Americans died in Benghazi.
Don't just passively allow Americans to remain under attack for 8 hours of time when you have forces within range and do nothing.
One is Bud McFarlane, National Security Advisor to President Reagan.
The Secretary of Defense was in the White House at 5 o'clock within an hour of when the attack started. He could have told him, yes, we have special operations people and F-18 aircraft that could be deployed right away. To have known what he had available, to have known that Americans were under fire, and to have done nothing is dereliction of duty that I have never seen in a president of any party. Outrageous.
That's pretty strong stuff.
Well, Brett, it is strong. I wouldn't say that if there was any ambiguity about the conditions on the ground. But there really wasn't. Americans were being killed. You must respond. That is your duty. You're the commander-in-chief.
Panetta declined our request for an interview. So did National Security Advisor Tom Donilon.
Mr. Donilon with Fox News, would you be willing to answer some questions about Benghazi, please?
Good morning, guys. Why don't you get me off the call?
In fact, a special reports investigates interview request for any White House official went unanswered. October 26th, the father of former Navy SEAL Tyrone Woods, who was killed in action at the annex in Benghazi, went on Fox News America Live to respond to reports that the CIA operators requested help during the firefight and were denied.
Those people who made the decision and who knew about the decision and lied about it are murderers of my son.
And then President Obama does an interview with a local Denver reporter.
Were they denied requests for help during the attack?
Well, we are finding out exactly what happened. I guarantee you that everybody in the State Department, our military, CIA, you name it, had #1 priority making sure that people were safe. These are our folks.
I find it astounding. I find it a lack of leadership.
Republican Senator John McCain says the military should have been prepared to respond long ago.
Why in the world, after 2 previous attacks on the embassy, with deteriorating security, even the alarms being sounded by the ambassador, on September 11th, why wouldn't we have our forces on an alert status so that they could respond?
You think the White House is covering something up?
I think they're either grossly incompetent or covering up, and I don't know which is worse.
In the two, it seems painfully clear, though, that not enough was done before, during, or after the attack in Benghazi to make us truly feel safe in this dangerous world.
A dead ambassador, 2 Navy SEALs dead, another security officer dead. The president answers this the next morning by flying to Vegas for a fundraiser. I submit that if this were a Republican president and this went down this way, you'd have reporters camped outside of Hillary's house, Rice's house, and demand that the president do a full-blown press conference on what happened. Maybe it's just incompetence. Maybe it's a series of innocent mistakes. But my goodness, when you had 3 attacks, violent attacks inside Benghazi on the Red Cross office, the consulate, and then postings on Facebook that we're coming after you on September 10th, they didn't have any actionable intelligence? What? I mean, this is ridiculous. And I think the press is partly culpable here.
No, sure she does. I mean, all you have to do is look at this morning's New York Times front page, nothing about Benghazi. It was all over the Sunday morning talk shows. I mean, it dominated the talk shows yesterday.
What's interesting is that when she made those comments, she was sitting next to a correspondent from the New York Times. But she talked about, listen, explain it as incompetence, explain it as a series of innocent mistakes, whatever it is, just explain it.
Well, that's absolutely right. I mean, the contradictions are astounding. I mean, the Vice President of the United States, in that debate where he was laughing and giggling and acting kind of like a hyena, did make a very important misrepresentation. He said that the White House wasn't informed that they were asking for more security. Now, that's hard to believe. It's hard to believe the White House didn't know about it. If they didn't know about it, then how disengaged are they from the security of our people all over the world, particularly in Libya, a country where they have a great interest?
Well, those are matters handled at the State Department. Why don't you believe that flies?
Well, maybe this is because the President of the United States doesn't get his national security briefings. Maybe this is because we haven't had a president in a year, flying off to Nevada, traveling here, traveling there, gets only half his national security briefings. We have a campaigner-in-chief, not a president-in-chief. That alone is an issue, that this didn't rise to the level of the president finding out about it. 6 months of desperate requests for more security, 4 or 5 terrorist incidents that should have warned you, and September 11, which, excuse me, maybe you should be a little alert on September 11 and not getting ready for your trip to Las Vegas.